This session is for OCR FP2. The topic is hyperbolic functions, and we're looking at June 2010, question 8. So just looking at the question first of all to see what we've got to do. In part 1 it says, using the definition of cosh x in terms of e to the x and e to the minus x, show that 4 cosh cubed x minus 3 cosh x is equivalent to cosh 3x. And then in part 2, use the substitution u equals cosh x to find, in terms of 5 to the power of a third, the real root of the equation 20u cubed minus 15u minus 13 equals 0. So 4 marks for the first part, 6 for the second. So let's have a look at part 1. So fairly standard sort of question. So first thing we need, of course, is the fact that cosh x is equal to a half of e to the x plus e to the minus x. So hopefully we remember that. So we'll square that. Cosh squared x is going to be a quarter e to the 2x plus 2 plus e to the minus 2x. And then we need cosh cubed. So cosh cubed x is going to be 1/8 of e to the x plus e to the minus x. So I've just multiplied my half by my quarter, and just doing this carefully and bringing all our sort of terms together, we'll get 1/8 of e to the 3x, so I'm just multiplying the second bracket by e to the x first of all, so we get e to the 3x plus 2e to the x plus e to the minus x, and then multiplying everything in the second bracket by the second term, we get e to the x plus 2e to the minus x plus e to the minus 3x, which gives us 1/8 of e to the 3x plus e to the minus 3x plus 3e to the x plus 3e to the minus x. And that, substituting back in now, e to the 3x plus e to the minus 3x would be 2 lots of cosh 3x, and then here we'll have 3 lots of 2 cosh x. So that tells us that cosh cubed x is equal to a quarter cosh 3x plus 3/4 cosh x, which in turn gives us the result that we're looking for, that 4 cosh cubed x is equal to cosh 3x plus 3 cosh x. And that, of course, can be arranged as 4 cosh cubed x minus 3 cosh x equals cosh 3x. We probably haven't quite got room to fit that in, but I think we're there. So if we just look 4 marks, so we need, of course, at the very beginning to know the definition of cosh, so we write that down. You're getting a method mark for cubing, so here a method mark for cubing, and then you're getting a method mark when you get to this stage, and then an accuracy mark at that stage. And if I had a little bit more room, I would write that final line in. So if we now look at part 2, so in part 2 we're going to be using the answer that we've just got. So just be aware that we are going to be using part 1. So we're asked to use this substitution u equals cosh x. So our equation is going to become 20 cosh cubed x minus 15 cosh x minus 13 equals 0. Now if we look up here, this was the result that we established in part 1, and if I multiply that by 5, I would get 20 cosh cubed x minus 15 cosh x would be equal to 5 cosh 3x. So I am going to replace these first two terms by 5 cosh 3x. So that tells us that cosh x is equal to 13 over 5. So that tells us, I'll put the 3 in again, that tells us that 3x is equal to the inverse cosh of 13 over 5. And now we just need to go to our formula books and substitute into the logarithmic definition for the inverse cosh. So do check it if you're not sure. So it will be x, which is 13 over 5, plus the square root of x squared minus 1, so that's 169 over 25 minus 1, and that will simplify to give us 3x equals log of. So what do we have? With 13 over 5 plus 12 over 5, which is 25 over 5, which is 5. So x is equal to a third log 5. So we've now got a value for x, which means now, going back to our substitution, that tells us, because we know that u equals cosh x, that tells us that u is equal to cosh of a third log y, 5. And now we need, again, just to go back to our definition in terms of exponential functions. So that's going to be a half of e to a power of a third log 5 plus e to the minus a third log 5. But of course, log e to the power of log a third log pi 5 is the same as e to the power of log 5 to the power of a third, which is just 5 to the power of a third. So this can be replaced by 5 to the power of a third. And in a similar way, we can replace this by 5 to the power of negative a third. So we now have, we've found, in terms of 5 to the power of a third, we've found the root of the equation. So there were 6 marks for that question, quite a lot of working that you had to get done. So let's just check and see how that the marks are awarded for that. So you got a method mark at this stage here for the fact that cosh 3x is equal to 13 over 5. You got a method mark for simplifying and getting this expression using your logs, and you got an accuracy mark for ending up with x equals a third log 5. You then got a method mark for substituting it in here, going back to your u, another method mark from using the exponential definition of cosh, and an accuracy mark for evaluating that. So 6 marks for the second part, 4 marks for the first part, so 10 marks in total for that question. So don't forget that if you want to access further revision videos, then you can do so by going to the website, Further Maths Support Programme website, and following the link.